restrooms right outside the door to the right, in between here in the secret lab. Now, today is Visions, as you know. We have many more wonderful speakers this afternoon, so please join us in this room throughout the afternoon. And of course, go upstairs and enjoy all the wonderful stuff up there as well. Now, let me read my script. Oh, I kind of already said it all. Thank you. We are very excited to see everybody here. And we have several presentations that will happen throughout the day. And be sure to check out our great vendors. Am I psychic? I'm very excited to welcome our first presenter from the Michigan Bureau of Services for Blind Persons, Regional Manager David Clank, who is going to tell us how to get connected with the BSBP. Thank you, and let's give a nice warm welcome to David.
I'll use the mic here. I think everyone can hear me, but it's not just going to be me today. I've got a great team of folks who cover several counties, but especially Washtenaw. My name is Dave Klink. I'm the Central Region Manager. I cover Lansing and Flint regions. But with me, I've also got...
I'm Evan Papuga, Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor here in Washtenaw County.
And I am Brittany Hamilton-Reed, the Transition Consultant covering Washtenaw County.
And I'm Shelly Basili. I am a teacher out of the Flint office, but I cover 8 counties, so I am all around.
Wow.
It's a big region, absolutely. And,
You
guys, if you're speaking, you may want to use the mic.
absolutely.
So that they couldn't hear.
Okay, we'll do. And we'll have everybody reintroduce as they come up and talk, because we're going to take some turns here. So can everybody hear me now? Okay, fantastic. All right, so BSBP is a vocational rehabilitation program, but we do have several subtypes under vocational rehabilitation. Specifically, if I can hop over here, vocational rehabilitation, which is what Evan covers, that is for individuals who are looking to go to work. So you have to have some, meet our qualifications for eligibility, because we're an eligibility-based program, but these things can help with preparing for employment, finding employment, and retaining employment. So those are kind of the big 3 that we work with for VR. Next, we've got our business service. Yeah, if you guys just want to
I'll tell you, yeah.
Thank you. All right, so our business services, we don't just serve the individual who has a disability. We also go out and talk with potential employers on behalf. We give education on disability and how to work with our folks. We have our independent living program, which Shelly will be talking about here in a little bit. But this is for folks who maybe aren't ready to go to work yet, or who are past the time of working and they just kind of need some assistance with technology and devices to read the mail and read recipes and things like that. Our transition services, which Brittany will be talking about here in a minute, we serve those 14 through 26 here in Michigan under our pre-ETS programs. So this includes post-secondary training, self-advocacy, some work-based learning, because documentation shows that students, especially that have work experience prior to going to college or exiting high school, are going to be more successful. So this has been a big push for BSBP and vocational rehabilitation. 15% of our budget needs to be spent on transition services. That's a lot of money. Youth Low Vision serves 0 to 13, so every 2 years, somebody that qualifies for this who needs head-borne devices, I know that's kind of a strange way to say it, but basically glasses, financial assistance for glasses, bioptics, things like that. BSBP is able to assist with those if you qualify. And that is only state funded, so sometimes funding does run out on that program. We have our Business Enterprise Program, BEP. This is, if you've been on the highway, you stop at a restroom, you're gonna see vending machines. A lot of times you'll see a State of Michigan sticker on that. That's one of our BEP vendors that runs that. And a lot of them have a very good salary from doing that program. It's a very intense program, but it's a great program. And it seems to be kind of bouncing back and on the rise again as well. We have our Braille and Talking Book Library. And Scott Norris, who's upstairs, they're one of the tables up there next to ours. He's retiring tomorrow, but there's a lot of great information to check that out, get signed up with them. It's a great free resource. And lastly, our BSBP training center in Kalamazoo. This is a residential place. You don't live there, but you do go there for several weeks at a time. You get technology training, orientation mobility, like using the cane skills. There's cooking classes, a wood shop. What am I forgetting at the training center? Yeah, keyboarding, computer skills, personal management. Yeah, the kitchen is very cool out there, so. Yes. Yes.
Counseling, adjustment counseling.
Yep. Yeah, and you're going to meet other people who have similar conditions or are kind of in the same life circumstance as you. Like we see a lot of friendships that come out of that, especially the summertime. It shuts down for adults. That's when we bring the transition folks in, the transition youth in, and a lot of friendships are made out of that.
I've had 2 marriages come out of it.
2? So to qualify, we're, like I said, a vocational rehabilitation program. Our sister agency is Michigan Rehabilitation Services. I don't know if anybody's heard of them or not, but we partner with them. So we serve those folks who have a vision acuity of 2200 or less in the better eye, or 2100 with degeneration, meaning your vision is going to get worse. Or with our folks who have RP, retinitis pigmentosa, if the angle of the vision is less than 40 degrees, you would qualify for us. If that's not there yet, we are working with MRS to kind of make an easy transfer over to that agency, and we have good communication with them, so there won't be a time lapse and resources can be discussed and shared at that point. But for the most part, we're here to talk about BSBP. These are eligibility criteria. Again, you do need to be eligible for services. There's not an entitlement to this. But we'll do our best to kind of get the medical documentation and move you through our process as fast as possible. So with that said, I'm going to pass it off to Evan Papuga. He's our voc rehab counselor.
Thanks, Dave. So as Dave said, I'm Evan. I'm our vocational rehabilitation counselor here in Washtenaw County. I also cover Shiawassee, Livingston, Lenawee, and Monroe counties. So I cover a pretty big area, so if you or anyone you know who doesn't live right here in Washtenaw, I would still be the contact. Our vocational rehabilitation program is for individuals 14 to whenever you don't want to work anymore, essentially. And our services are in order to prepare for employment, obtain employment, and maintain employment. That is our main purpose in assisting individuals with visual impairments and deaf-blind individuals with their potential employment opportunities. We provide diagnostic evaluations, vocational counseling, which is just a fancy word for working with me to discuss your career goals, skills of blindness training, which are at no cost to the customer. In working with me, we'll create a plan for employment. We'll sit down, we'll identify your abilities, your skills, your interests, and we will sort of create a roadmap to achieve your goal. And it is a very holistic approach here at BSBP. We do, with people I work with, they go to the training center or they'll receive services in home. And they'll work with me, and they'll often work with Shelly or Brittany. It's a real wraparound approach. And our services are eligibility requirements. So there is that medical requirement, and then to work with me, you have to want to work in some capacity, part-time, full-time, whatever it may be. Yeah, that's a good one. Competitive integrated employment is what we harp on. And really what that means is competitive working with people with and without disabilities in the community. And so here is an example of some of our placements we've had. Data processing, lawyer, manager, counselor, clergy, dry cleaner, stock, teaching, professors, accounting, childcare, assembly work, landscaping. Our approach is not a cookie cutter approach. when working with me, you say you want to work. I'm not just going to say, okay, we're going to place you here stocking shelves, or we're going to place you here cleaning, right? It's all catered to the customer's interests and abilities. So if you want to go be an astronaut, we're going to explore what it takes to be an astronaut, see if you have the qualifications, the capabilities, the resources, and what it would take to get you there. And if we fall somewhere short, that's okay, right? But we always base off what the interests and skills are. With VR, we call it a dual customer approach. We work with our customers who work with us, and then also employers in the field. So we work with businesses to provide assistance in identifying and hiring qualified employees, creating successful employment outcomes. We can provide employees with job analysis, orientation and mobility training on the job, job coaching to help learn jobs, and then technical assistance and equipment, so various assistive technologies to make sure that customers are performing the job to the job requirement standards and what would make the environment or tasks more accessible to them. And I think I just talked about this a little bit, but when working with employers, we also, for employers, we can look at job task analysis. So what is the needs of the employer? And we can help break those down to see how we can possibly fill those gaps or help with those needs. Work-based learning opportunities are huge for us. For me and for Brittany, there's something we offer through, it can be pre-employment training services as a way to discover different jobs, different tasks that work for youth. It also may work for adults who are returning to work or just wondering what's out there or what's possible for them. So we can carve specific, it's common to be 40 to 80 hour work experience to where we are able to identify certain tasks that can be done or strengths of a customer that can help us move forward.
What do they get out of it?
These work experiences, they can get paid. They can get experience, skill development. What's in for the employer? Oh, well, I was working there. But yeah, you get a work opportunity tax credit for working with our customers is something that can be financially benefiting for the employer. But also, it's great for employers to understand the needs of people in their community. It's networking, it's typically a win-win situation.
And sometimes it leads to that individual getting hired at the assessment. So
Right.
that's a win-win.
Yep,
Resume building.
absolutely. Yeah. And then does anyone have any questions as it relates to employment with BSBP? If not, I will.
Circle back at the end.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
How old is the oldest client you've had go through your program?
So the question is, how old is the oldest customer in our program? Right now,
I have a 78-year-old.
Shelly has a 78-year-old.
She's working.
She's working?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just working on some stuff to help her maintain her job.
Okay. Yeah. So she's working with maintaining employment. And mine, Shelly beat me, was just 76, who I just closed her case. So, yeah, 78 currently. Yeah. Great question. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So the question was, do we have anyone with intellectual impairments? So in qualifying for our services, the medical, the visual acuity is that one medical requirement, but my caseload specifically has people with intellectual, developmental, any other disability. Yeah. Yeah.
Learning disabilities, yes, definitely.
Yep. Another great question. All right. Well, I will pass it off to my coworker, Shelly.
Thank you. Okay, so I am Shelly. I'm a teacher, so it's a rehab teacher is what I do. And like I said, I cover 8 different counties, and I do work with all the different programs, like Evan was talking about, everyone who's 14 and up. So I'm going to talk about our independent living program right now. So our independent living program, it's an older blind program. So it's if you are 55 and older and you are legally blind. David had talked about the eligibility requirements. So this is a program where you're not interested in employment. Many of my customers are retired, just not interested in work at this point in life. And we also have our other program is our Part B independent living program. So that it's 55 and under, but in order to qualify for that program, you have to be legally blind and also have another documented disability that would prevent you from working. So those are 2 separate programs, kind of over 55 and under. But the purpose of these programs, I come to your home. We know transportation is a huge barrier, so I come to you. And my goal is to help you remain as independent as possible within the home. It's very common where I meet with someone, and sometimes a family member is with them, and they just got a diagnosis. They were just diagnosed legally blind. They're 60, late 60s, and their main goal is, I want my mom to stay in her home. She wants to stay in her home. We don't want to move her, so we go in and we make it safe. I make it safe, and so she can live independently. That can mean so many different things to different people, but just some examples of things that I do, as simple as marking their microwave. So we have these raised bumps called bump dots, where I would put commonly on the 30-second button on your microwave. You don't have to be able to see anything, just feel on there when you find that bump. Hit it once if you want your microwave to turn on for 30 seconds. If you want longer, hit it twice for a minute, things like that. So some of my clients get Meals on Wheels. They can't. It's common when I say, how do you use your microwave? They say, I just hit buttons till it turns on. So we do that. Phones, we do so much with phones. The smartphones now. I'm going to do some demonstration after of all the different things that the iPhone and the Android phones can do. They can read to you. You can make a phone call with just saying, call Bob. You can answer your phone by just saying, hey, Siri, answer the phone. So all these things where, you've got an iPhone and you're like, I can't see anything on here, but we can make it fully accessible for you. I see a ton of people here with canes, which is awesome. I do basic cane training in the home, but I also do some referrals out to our certified orientation and mobility specialists. And I also work closely with Leader Dogs for the Blind out of Rochester. I refer so many people to them. Just because you go there, you're not coming home with a dog, I promise. They have a Sunday through Thursday cane training program where you stay on their campus and you learn all the skills about using the cane to safely navigate the bus system, downtown complex areas, things like that. And if you are interested in a leader dog, 99% of the time you have to do that other program first because you have to show independent travel skills with your cane before you would even qualify for a leader dog. So I encourage all of my clients to go to it. It's a great free program for them. So cooking skills, other examples, I've got clients, I'm in the shower and I don't know if it's my shampoo or conditioner. So we would put 1 rubber band around the shampoo and 2 rubber bands around the conditioner. Things like that, just to make life easier. We work with magnifiers. Our Meta Ray-Bans are very popular right now. They're just regular Ray-Ban glasses that hook up to your smartphone and you can say, hey Meta, read this menu. You can say, hey, Meta, read the sandwiches. Instead of hearing everything on the menu, you want a sandwich, it will just read you the sandwiches. So things like that, magnifiers, canes, just all independent living skills within the home. And there's a ton of other skills I work on that I can't think of, but phones, cooking, using the stove safely, all those things to just stay as independent as possible. And I'm going to demonstrate a few things on the phone after, but does anyone have any questions on any of that? I'm out of the Flint office, but I cover, oh, I'm so sorry. So she asked where I was based out of. I'm out of the Flint office, but I cover Washtenaw, Livingston, Genesee, Lapeer, St. Clair, Shiawassee, more that I can't even think of. So, but even if you have family members or friends, we cover the entire state. So even if you're like, I've got a friend in the UP, we cover, it might not be one of us, but someone will, we can get you where you need to go if you would be working out of a different office. We have offices in Detroit, Flint, Gaylord, Escanaba, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids. So, yeah. So, all these services apply to anywhere in Michigan. Any other questions? Yes.
I don't have a question, but if I can, I'll make some comments.
Mhm.
My name is Sahi Fano. I'm from Ann Arbor.
Do you want me to give you the microphone?
Hi. I don't know who that was, but. Oh, hi, Marianne. My name is Sai Hufano. I'm from Ann Arbor. I've been working with BSBP for the last probably 5 or 6 months, and I just attended the ILP, the Independent Living Program, in Kalamazoo at the training center. And all I want to say to you is, if you're dealing with loss of blindness, low vision or blindness, and you want to potentially look at how you could get new ways to live your life, I would encourage you so much so to look into this program. It's incredible. They have been incredibly supportive. The training I've received has opened up my life again. I've been living with 7 years of severe glaucoma. It's been a very depressing time, and all of a sudden now there's literally a light that's come back into my life. So it is absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much. Are those Meta glasses that you're wearing? Awesome. So he is wearing Meta glasses, which is one of the things that I was talking about. And everyone loves them because Ray-Bans are super stylish and popular. So it's not like, you've got some thing that you're wearing that shows everyone that you're blind. It's actually a mainstream product. They were not created for the visually impaired, but they just so happen to really benefit the visually impaired. So now they're going off of that. But yeah, they look great on you. And thank you. Another question?
I had 2 questions. One is that gentleman just mentioned a program that one can attend, and I wondered if that was available any closer than Kalamazoo. And the second question is, do you know if the Meta glasses work with a jitterbug phone?
So I'll answer your Meta glasses. They can work with no phone, but do very limited things. So I have not hooked them up to a jitterbug, but now which jitterbug? Because the one jitterbug. We don't have a jitterbug. Okay. Yeah, you cannot have them hooked up to a phone. It's just very limited in the capacity that they do. But I could definitely research that more because I'm sure that will come up. And so what the gentleman was talking about, the training center is in Kalamazoo. So that's our residential facility. Any questions on that, I can answer those also. But it was asked if there is any closer trainings. So 3 or 4 times a year, we have something called our mini adjustment. And this moves around the state. Every March, we have it in Detroit. And then that's our kind of steady one. And the other ones move around the state. I think the next one is going to be up north in Mackinac City, but it's not confirmed yet. That will be September, October. So what that is you stay in a hotel. You check in on Sunday to Thursday. And you do have a roommate in your hotel room. So I always have to prepare people for that. But Monday through Thursday is classes all day. It's an introduction to our training center. So it's great for people who are like not ready to go commit 4 to 6+ weeks of their lives to something that they're not sure about. A lot of the training center staff works this mini adjustment. So you get an introduction to all the classes that they offer. So you will get an orientation and mobility class. If you don't have a cane, you will get one, and you'll get a couple hours of training on it, but not as much as you're going to get at the training center. It's just going to give you a taste for it. You'll have a phone class. So if you get divided up into Android versus iPhone versus either no phone or like a flip phone. So you'll get a basic introduction to VoiceOver and Zoom and using Siri and using OK Google and those things, but you won't get the full class that you would experience. So just an introduction to all of it. And yeah, that moves around the state. 3 or 4 times a year. Like I said, there's always one in Detroit in March, and then the other locations we just base off of where the need is. So we do Mount Pleasant, Grand Rapids, things like that. Yep. Any other questions? And I don't remember what was next. Okay, I am going to hand it off to Brittany.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brittany Hamilton Reed. I am the transition consultant, which works specifically with those who are 14 to 26. So our youth population, those who are attached to a school. Within my role, I do a lot of programming to provide group services around the different categories that fall under pre-employment transition services, which I'll share more in a moment. But like Evan was saying, in terms of those vocational rehabilitation services, this is one of kind of like a, not specialized, but one area of those services. So you don't necessarily have to be just do the pre-ets. You can also have that aspect of what Evan was talking about in terms of moving towards employment, but a bulk of our students in the area or this age range are still in school, so they're trying to figure it out, right? They're not necessarily dead set on like, yes, I'm gonna go do this thing or employment-wise, but they still need skills, right? They're trying to prepare for whatever that next step is, and so we are developing programs or specific services to help them develop those skills and hone in on ideally what it is that they want to do next post high school, okay? So our pre-employment transition services, as Dave mentioned, we have a specific budget for that. It works specifically with those who are 14 to 26, and they do have to be attached to a school. So that doesn't necessarily mean just a high school. If they're an adult transition program or something else educationally based, they would qualify for this particular type of service or programs that we're offering in this area. The caveat, again, is just that they're attached to an education program of some kind, okay? That can also include college or a training program. So as the screen says, is designed for an early start at job exploration to help them identify those career interests or ideally, again, what that next step is. And it's addition to those vocational rehabilitation services, so those other support services that Evan would provide as the counselor. So there's 5 categories that pre-ets or pre-employment transition services covers. The first is job exploration counseling. So think of those assessments of what am I interested in? What are the careers that are available to me? We often see students who like mom is a doctor or dad is a lawyer and that's what I want to do. Beautiful. But do you know that there's other options? Right? Oftentimes students kind of go down that lane because like, hey, I'm really close to my teacher, so I want to become a teacher. And that's a great option, but do you know of other options as well? So thinking about a grander scale of what are the career options available to you, even if it's like, I like animals. There's a lot of career pathways that you can handle or interact with animals. So what does that mean? And are we truly exploring on that level? The other category is work-based learning experiences that was mentioned earlier, is giving that introduction into the work experience or that world of work. So we develop those very individually based, honestly. They can be in group or more kind of general, but we try to tailor it to what a student has interest in, because that ties into some of that career exploration. So if they're like, I really like animals, cool. Let's see if we can find an experience at PetSmart or a doggy daycare or something along those lines so that they get that exposure, they're earning some money, and then being like, oh, I actually don't like cleaning up poop. You know, I'm gonna pass on that. So it's still something for them to take away from that experience and develop those skills or start to hone in on whatever that next step is. Those can happen during the school year, after school, or during the summer. Typically, the summer is our big, heavy time for those because students have more availability, right? The third is counseling on opportunities for enrollment in, this is a very long, I've never said it this way, sorry. Essentially counseling on post-secondary education options or training. So think our college students who are interested in college or a training program, maybe like a career and technical program, or apprenticeships is really huge right now. Providing some guidance and counseling on these are the options, right? It's not just college. College is not the only option for students, and trying to open up their eyes to what those other options could be. We also, as a state, our partners, Michigan Rehabilitation Services and I, have access to the Michigan Career and Technical Career, I said that probably wrong, MCTI, Michigan Career and Technical Institute. There we go. I had to say the letters first, which is a state-run vocational school, essentially. So there's, I believe, like 13 trade-based programs that they have there, and we can assist students to go into that program. But again, they're trade-based. They're not, your standard college type setting, but it's residential. They would live there in the dorms, and they would go through the program and have additional supports outside of your typical college setting. But that is a pathway that some people don't necessarily know about, that is available to those who enroll in BSBP and MRS or Michigan Rehab Services. The fourth is our workplace readiness training. So think about your first job. What are the things that you thought you knew and then you learned because you failed just a little bit, or you did something a little bit wrong? That's what workplace readiness is trying to get at. How do I talk to my supervisor? How do I, become a team player and make sure that I'm communicating well? How do I establish a boundary in terms of a relationship with a coworker versus a friend? Thinking about those things that aren't necessarily always taught, and they're usually more experience-based, but trying to drill down to some of those more soft skills is what we would call them. Because we can teach you how to do a task. We can, A plus B is going to get you C. But what about those more nuanced pieces that aren't often talked about? So thinking about the work readiness in that component, as well as some of those hard skills, but communication, timeliness, teamwork, a lot of those kind of skills that you get out of like a work-based learning experience, or just being in different settings focused on vocational aspects. Handling a paycheck, yes. We do an annual program about financial literacy, where that is the focus, is giving them really a boot camp of what that means, right? How to budget, what your paycheck is actually gonna look like, because you're like, oh yeah, I made $13 an hour. You're not gonna get that full 13, So what does that mean, and how do you then budget? Especially when we have students who receive SSI or SSDI, and that component of, there may be a cap in terms of how many hours I can actually work when I'm out of school and things like that. So again, those nuanced pieces that aren't always talked about, but is a skill that students should learn earlier versus later. And then last is instruction in self-advocacy, which honestly is infused in all of these different categories. We often see with our students that other people are doing a lot of the work for them. And that's kind of the systems that we have in place. When you think about, especially our K through 12, there are teachers who are mandated to do X. And so then the student may not necessarily learn certain skills to do that on their own. And so we, as professionals, but also encouraging families to think about, what does that mean for your student when they enter the real world? If they're gonna go to college, there's not a teacher, there's not a professor, there's not a person who's going to do that work for them. They have to vocalize those things. They have to take that step and feel comfortable doing that work, right? So trying to embed those pieces earlier, because it's a little harder to do when you're just used to somebody doing the things for you, right? And so that's a huge piece of our programming overall, but we also are typically trying to be very intentional with building programming specifically around self-advocacy. Any questions about those categories? Yes.
So your pre-ETS program, is that available to registered homeschool students?
Yes, the homeschool students are usually attached to an intermediate school district or an ISD, and they will have an IEP or individualized education plan, and so they can utilize our services, or they're connected in that way to a school, so that would carry over to our services as well. Great question. Yeah. All right. So these are just a couple examples of our programs, really. So I cover a very large area. I'm essentially Escanaba to Monroe, with the exception of the Detroit area. And Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids I do not cover. So it's a large area, but you also have to think it's a very rural, and we're low incident. So when you think about the students in that catchment area, it's relatively the same as like a Detroit area, because it's more, condensed, urban, things like that. And so we plan programs by region, and then we also do some statewide programs. The purpose is to hit on those 5 categories that I just talked about, so bringing those different levels of education and exposure to students, but also thinking about the connectivity for students, right? If I'm a student who is blind, low vision, I'm typically the one in my school or even in my district. So how do I truly connect with another person, right? I can have friends and I can, be out doing things, but to have somebody who truly understands my experience or has a relatability is a huge thing that we've noticed with our students that's often missing, right? So we do the programs, again, to touch on those categories, but also to bring those students and families together, so that way they have a different level of support, and honestly, practically learning a lot more of those skills that we're already touching on, right? How do I maintain a relationship with this person who lives in Kalamazoo and I live in Ann Arbor, right? There's levels of that and that communication, and what a healthy relationship could mean, or, things along those lines. But there's opportunities that we provide within our region, and I mentioned the financial literacy program. We recently were at Great Wolf Lodge in Traverse City, and that's one of our bigger programs where we bring our families and our students together. So there's family-specific sessions that are meant to expose the families of, like, what is it really like to live as a person with vision loss of some kind. So they do specific activities around that. They do like cane training and talk about some different assistive technology, slicing, spreading, making a bed, all while they're blindfolded. So they get a little bit of a glimpse into what their student may be experiencing. And then our students are also going through workshops at that same time to talk about those categories again: workplace readiness, self-advocacy, things along those lines. So we try to be pretty unique in our programming, to bring it a little bit of a fun spin, but also get at those educational pieces. And then our training center also does specific training, like Dave had mentioned, or someone had mentioned, during the summer months, where they run a variety of programs, from like Are You Ready or Practicing Adulting to our post-secondary assessment, which is a required program for those who are interested in going to college. So they all look different, but they all get at those same 5 categories. They're living on site, so that's a whole independent living push for those students, often 16 and above. I don't know how many 14 and 15-year-olds we typically see there, but that's a huge thing of just being away from mom and dad and what that truly means for their independence. I know the website will be at the end, but we post all of our programs on our website. So if you're ever curious about what's available throughout the entire state, not just my large region, you can always go to that website. There's also a newsletter that one of our other BSBP staff, Becca Flatt, who is in the room with us, facilitates that newsletter that goes out monthly to talk about programs as well as the other things that are happening in our transition kind of world. And I think I'm going to pass it back to Shelley, unless there are questions.
All right, so it is Shelley again. So I think Dave had said our services cover birth to end of life. So this is our Youth Low Vision program is the first program that people would qualify for. It starts at birth and it ends on your 14th birthday. And this is a program where we help families pay for low vision exams, which is different than just a regular eye exam. It's longer, they go more in depth, they try out different prisms and special lenses and magnifiers and things like that to help make the most out of the vision that the student does have. So we first let you use your insurance, and the leftover amount we help pay for. And this is head-borne devices only, so not like we couldn't cover a handheld magnifier or something like that. But sometimes our students' prescription glasses can be much more complex and expensive, and so we help the families with that. And it is a little bit of a different eligibility requirement for that. It's a 20/70 acuity or greater, or less in the better eye with best correction, or a 20-degree field. And a lot of these referrals come through our teacher consultants for the visually impaired. We work with the schools, so we can help identify these students at young ages up to 14, so we can help the transition over to Evan and Brittany's services. And what's nice too is we're getting these low vision exams, so we're getting eye reports. So then when I need to hand it over to Evan to open up that pre-ETS case, we're not spending 6 months waiting to get an eye exam and get the report to see if they qualify, because likely within the last year or two, I have helped them get a low vision exam, so we know if they qualify or not. So because they qualify for the low vision program, they might not qualify for the pre-ETS services. And if that's the case, then we would make the referral to MRS to get services there. So any questions on the Youth Low Vision program? Some examples: telescopic and microscopic glasses, complex contact lenses, prescription goggles, so sport goggles, bifocals, and prismatic lenses. We're going to just fly past the BEP program. David had mentioned it. It's one of our programs, like he said, the vending machines at the rest stops, where our customers can open their own business and be in charge of their own business. And we have facilities all around the state. If you have any questions, we're going to stay after, and we can answer any questions about that program. Is that good with that? Okay. And then another service that is associated with BSBP is our Braille and Talking Book Library. So they are upstairs, and they have a table. So if you have any questions that I don't cover, see them upstairs. Scott Norris is retiring tomorrow, but he's got a great team that will take care of you after that. So this is a free service. If you are visually impaired or you have any disability that prevents you from reading standard print. So if you have, if you can't hold a book, if you have, one of your arms does not work, or if you're dyslexic, it doesn't have to be a vision loss, just anything that prevents you from reading standard print, you would qualify for this service. It is free, and they have different options. A lot of my older clients in the older blind program, they have the machine sent to them in the mail, and then they get books on tape sent to them in the mail. This player is very simple to use. It's made for someone who is totally blind. It's minimal buttons. The buttons are different shapes and colors, so no matter what level of vision you have, I can make a way for you to use it, I promise. When you're done with the book, you put it back in your mailbox, no stamp necessary, your next one comes. And then we also have a BARD app, which is you can download on Android or Apple devices. And so it's basically Audible, but you get it for free. You can download books, have it right on your phone, and listen to them on the go, and it's just instant. But that does take a little bit more skills in terms of navigating to download the books. But you can also get both of them. So if you want to get the talking book player and start figuring out BARD, you can get both of them. And easy to sign up. Again, they're upstairs if you have any questions, but I can answer basic questions about it. Our training center. Is this me? Okay, yeah. So we've talked about it a lot. Again, we're going to stay after if you have any questions. That's our residential facility in Kalamazoo. And then I also did talk about our mini adjustment programs that move around the state. So on here we have David Klink, who is the Central Region Manager. We have his phone number, so call him, like 9 p.m. would be best. So his number is 810-429-8769, or you can email him, KLENKD@michigan.gov, and I can repeat that again. We'll stay up here after if we want to exchange contact info. We can get you the phone number directly to Jasmine, who is our service coordinator. Is that her? Is that service coordinator? Yeah. And she is amazing. She is the one that opens all of our cases. She will help you hunt down your iReport. If you're like, I don't even know if I qualify, here's the doctor I went to last. She will help get the paperwork, get you to where you need to go. Even if, like I said, if you know someone that isn't in the central region, she'll help get you to the office that you need to go to. And we should have her number up there for next time. And I did want to we had someone coming around asking about Seeing AI, so I hope they're in here, but I wanted to do just a quick demo of one of the apps that is so easy to use on the phone. You can use it on your Android or iPhone, but it's much easier on the iPhone because you can use Siri commands. But I have a currency in my hand. U.S. currency is the only currency in the world that is not distinguishable by a person who's visually impaired. They're all the same size. There's no different shapes, sizes, no raised marks. So this can cause a problem. So all I have to do is tell my phone, recognize currency. $20. So I don't know if you heard, but I just said to my phone, recognize currency. I have a bill in my hand. I held it in front of my phone, and it said $20. So easy as that, just a simple recognize currency command. If you don't have a smartphone, the Braille and Talking Book Library can also send you a currency reader for free in the mail. I don't have one with me, but it's just a little device that you stick the bill in, hit a button, and it will say 10, 20, etc. But most people who have a smartphone, you always have your phone with you anyway, so it's one less thing to carry around. But if you don't have a smartphone, you can definitely get one of those currency readers. The Braille and Talking Book Library can mail them out to you for free. Another thing, this same app, the Seeing AI app, so I have the schedule for today, which is great, but if I can't read print, it doesn't mean much to me, right? So I'm just going to tell my phone, okay, hold on, read. So I just set to Siri read, and I'm going to hold my phone up, and then,
welcome to Visions 2, technology, right edge not visible.
So I'm holding my phone above this piece of paper, and it's giving me verbal cues. It said right edge not visible. So I'm pretending that I cannot see this piece of paper at all. I'm totally blind. So it's telling me right now no edges visible because I have it on the carpet, but I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Top and right edges not visible.
So it said top and right edges not visible. So it's giving me verbal commands to get my phone over this piece of paper. So once it senses all four corners, so this could be a piece of mail or anything that you need read, once it senses all four corners of the piece of paper, it will automatically take the picture.
2026 Technology and Services for the Blind, Low Vision and Physically Disabled. Wednesday, June 3rd, 11 a.m.-4 p.m. Ann Arbor District Library.
So it took a picture of it, processed it, and it will go through and read me the whole schedule. And so this is a free app just built right into your phone. Tons of clients use this for their mail. There's also like a product, I can say recognize product, and it will scan a barcode, and so then it will tell me that's cream of chicken soup, or that is, if you don't know what, because cans of soup are all the same, right, if you can't read the label. And again, that's a free app. Set it right up in your phone. We talked about the Meta Ray-Bans. They work with Seeing AI, so the Ray-Bans can do a lot of things like this. And I see some questions, so.
Yes, and we have time for probably one or two questions. I saw right here. Do you mind if we go here first, and then I'll come over to you in the second row here.
I just have a quick question. Did you have to open up Seeing AI?
Nope. So so if you have a iPhone, the Android phones, you cannot do it like that. But it's hooked up with Siri. So I have a Siri command. That's when I say read, it automatically opens the Seeing AI app and goes to the read function. Yep.
She said, how do you connect it? To your Siri.
So in settings, the top left, if you're using VoiceOver, it should be the first thing. It would say configure Siri shortcuts, and then you would just have to check, because there's a bunch of different things that I didn't even talk about that Seeing AI can do. So you would have to double tap if you're using VoiceOver to check read, currency, and then it makes the shortcut. So you just do, hey Siri, read, and it will. Yeah, within the Seeing AI app settings. Yep, and if you have it, I can do it for you after this.
And this will be our last question here.
Oh, she just answered my question, I believe. But the Seeing AI app, that's what you use to do all that?
Yep, so it's the word seeing and then space AI for artificial intelligence. And it is free. Yeah. Yep, so it's the word seeing, SEEING, space AI for artificial intelligence. It's blue and it has like an eyeball looking thing if you're looking at it visually, what the app looks like. And like I said, I will stay after for a couple minutes if you have more questions. I will be here for a couple minutes. And yeah.
How about a big round of applause from the folks from BSBP?